So our requirement is to in the second activity, because as our code we have designed in such a way. Where is our application? Some sort of name. Okay, let me run it. So we left the first activity blank and we kept the form in the second activity. So we did it purposefully because we want to take an image in the second activity and fill the form and bring the data to a first activity, and where we can populate the list view. This was a requirement, so that's why we kept the first activity blank. You notice this particular activity we kept it blank. Probably we'll put a list view over here. So while we go to a form, let the user also type his name. In this case I just kept 2. I don't have much of content. So the pick a image option really works great. For example, I'm just opening the camera. I have 2 camera apps. Whatever camera apps. Okay, if I take a front camera, yes, you know that I can show you. So the front camera, if I take a picture and I say accept, no issue. The content is very much brought into and being displayed over in this image view. But I do notice there are some time, but I would expect this issue will come on most of the devices, because today's phone having megapixels of camera, like the bitmap will be a very big object once it retrieved. So I'm going to pick a front camera, sorry, back camera in this case. So a back camera, probably highest quality one, and probably it will be taking a kind of quality images. So in this case, don't worry, the image won't appear. The image doesn't come. If you closely monitor the logcat, let's see what it has written. Yeah, bitmap too large to be uploaded into a texture. See this size of a bitmap. Maybe the picture which is taking is quite I hope it is a pretty old phone, though it has a 5 megapixel camera. That itself is struggling, and today's phone 8, 16 megapixel and goes on. So we have to have some sort of mechanism to bring down the size of an image so that we can display. But I did confirm, like, the image is captured and it's being stored in our the path what we have given in the what you call form activity. We have given the path where the image could be saved. So we have already given extra output. We are giving the path so that the picture could be written onto that path. So a URI is generated. But I did notice the image is there. The only problem, it could not read it on the texture, or maybe it couldn't write on the view. So we have to bring down its size. Remember, there is a easy way to bring the size down. So let me write a method, utility method, like let's make a return type bitmap. Scale down something. So what is the size you are preferring? So maybe give a float value, say 250. Sorry, max size. It's a utility method. Sorry. And filter. I don't want to keep any filter anyway. So it is something to do with the optical imaging compression ratio. So in this case, I just created a utility method which is going to be helpful for me to bring down the size of a bitmap. So if I supply the original bitmap, it will give me a scale down bitmap. So it's pretty easy, in fact. So we create one more bitmap object. Bitmap create scaled bitmap. So if you notice, there is a built-in method available. The source bitmap, desired width, desired height. Uh, Sorry, input should be original bitmap, and your desired width and height, and whatever the filter. But the problem here is desired width and height. If I give a my preferred values, it may lose the quality. Any image when the size is brought down, you need to maintain some sort of aspect ratio. So if a width is reduced, the height has to be adjusted accordingly. If a height is reduced, the width has to be adjusted accordingly. Otherwise, the image will look pretty stretched or compressed. So it may not maintain the real quality. So we have to find some sort of mathematical way to arrive at the desired width and height. That's why I given the max size as a single parameter, whatever the size, because some of the image will have a width larger and height smaller. For example, if you take an image in the landscape mode, if you take it in a portrait, so I may not be very sure about like what kind of image I am going to take. So what would be the size where the width or height should be reduced? I did found in the various tutorials or maybe Stack Overflow, there is an easy way to hack it. Maybe that credit goes to the real developer. So he did kind of a mathematical approach. So so if you notice, so create a ratio, find the minimum value, whether the width is minimum, the height is minimum, we have to find. I hope the math min, whatever, for example, 45, 22, if we give, it will return the minimum value. So we just need to find out which is going to be the minimum one so that the ratio could be multiplied accordingly. So max size, original bitmap with the width, the max size, original bitmap with get height. Maybe we can typecast it, which is already a float, but it will help because the calculated value we want it to be a float. This order could be anyway because it is going to identify the minimum value. So if you keep a height first or width second, whatever it may be. So what is the minimum value? It will identify and keep it as a ratio. And let's find out the desired width. Or say preferred width. We are just trying to identify. Math will round the value because it's an integer which has to be rounded. So in this case, the ratio multiply original image, and so the ratio is only to identify the minimum value, whether the picture is a landscape or portrait. I may not be knowing. For that purpose only the ratio part is there. So get width and preferred height. Get height. So now you have some sort of a kind of width is adjusted according to height, or height is adjusted according to width based on the ratio, and that you can pass it to the. So I hope the values of preferred width and preferred height, and finally the filter what we are trying to attach. Now you have your bitmap, just return it. Filter something to do with the object, I mean optics, like color filter, or there could be something else. I had to test it what exactly it is. So now we have a scaled bitmap. So let us see if this works. Remember, it may do various tasks. For example, smaller image may be adjusted to a larger. So whatever it may be. So So accordingly it is going to be work, or larger image will be brought down to smaller, because the size what you give, it's a preferred size. So based on that, that image of the particular image is going to be either reduced or the size is going to be increased. So we have a bitmap, original bitmap. So scaled bitmap we can arrive at. I'm trying to make a 250. Let's keep a filter true. So the scale down image is ready, and that you attach it to the image view. You can write it one single line, in fact, but anyway, uh, breaking into multiple lines is not a big problem. Let us test the code now. I've noticed this is a major problem across various development, because I've seen a lot of developers complaining about the camera is not working. It doesn't pick the picture for a different vendors. Samsung it works, it doesn't work for Motorola. There are a lot of complaint it comes. In fact, it is not to do with the vendors. It is to do with the camera, the quality. If the image bitmap is quite larger, maybe it is finding difficult to bring the image. So let me try now. Yeah. 250 with respect to your layout. Then how much you want? Your screen size itself 400 pixel or something else is going to be there. 250 itself is still much. We are just trying to bring down an aspect ratio. So let me try. The picture has been taken. Expecting it to come. Something going wrong still. Okay, let us find what went wrong. It is still a big object. Let me scale down directly. Don't want to keep the so we're going to scale down for width and height, filter, width, ratio, divide. Do we need to cast it? This will update. Maybe connect. Yeah, let's try. Camera itself has gone wrong in my phone. Pretty old one. Let me reconnect one more time. I hope my camera or something went wrong. Okay. Assuming so it is going to work. So I'll proceed. Maybe I'll restart the device. I'll proceed. I'll come back to it. Uh, anyway, this is going to work for our other one option. Like we can pick the image from a gallery, which is going to be picked from a local source, and that can be added to a list view. So let us plan the list view first. Then we can come back to it. Let the device restart. So we have somehow identified to scale down the image, and let us go back to the previous activity where we are planning to add a list view over here. So let me put a list view. And one more thing, if your view has only one, for example, your screen is going to hold only one particular widget or text view or list view, you may get rid of the layout, which is not required at this point. So I'm going to only keep the list view here. So I don't see any use of layout being used. So in this case, I'm going to make it as a list view. This is the only view is going to be present in my the first activity. If it is single one, you may not even need a layout at all. So let me format it a bit. So have a list view. Let it render. Everything looks perfect. We have to identify. Okay. So we have a list view. Now let us plan our own custom object. Or we'll bring the data here. Okay, we'll bring the data. So when the user press on save button, in this case we have a save button over here. It has built-in intent. Time to bring back the data to a parent activity or the activity which it launched. So it is going to be an empty intent because only the primitive data we are trying to add. So hard coded value we do not prefer. So let me put a constant static file string. The final one going to be URI. We'll make it as a string if required. Path. So we have three different data. As far as this particular form, I need to send it back. If it is a primitive data, no issues. If it is your own customized object, you may use either parcelable or serialable. If I get time, I'll explain that. But let me see. First name. Did I initialize them? Image path which we are already saving it as the image URI, will make it as a string. So I'm just going to make it as a toString. We have objects ready. Now we need to set the result code, make them as all constant. Any value. Request code anyway going to be defined in the previous activity, but anyway I'll keep it over here. So result code and the intent we have to pass. So result code. So at this point, your whatever the data either used, uh, for example, the image, the path of the image, the first name, last name, whatever you enter, would be brought back to this activity, main activity. But make sure you have them called using start activity for result. I hope I am already calling it. So there is a request code. Is already there, which I am going to take it from this one. Which we have defined them as a constants. Okay, so when this activity launched, the form activity opens and of course it takes a picture and add the first name and last name, and when the button is clicked save, those data would be arriving at this point. So we will have all the data captured over here. So let's see. So before that we'll have the bundle ready, or we can directly even call it. So this is the one data get extra, get string extra we can directly call. Otherwise you can create a bundle object, from there you can call it. Both the case same, first name, right. We have everything ready. This has to be converted to a URI. So because URI we can use it to query the content resolver. URI and again convert the string back to URI. So we have everything done. Maybe I'll make it as an image URI. So at this point we brought all the data back in the main activity. Now we have to find a solution to display them into a list view. Problem here is two strings, one being image URI. So how I am going to display that? We know a simple adapter which accepts integer and string parameters. Array hash map which you can map it. But one point, displaying an image from a URI is going to be a problematic if I use a simple adapter. If I use array adapter, there is no point at all, because it will only display a single view which could be repeated. Usually it is a string array. So in this case, I would end up creating my own adapter. If you really want, you can create your own data type also. For example, we would need an array. So let me create my own data type. That also I'll let you know how to group the data. So let me create a class called registration. It's my own custom object. If you wish, you can use it, otherwise you can directly call it, but I just wanted to say this is also possible. We should have a getter setter methods. So there is option to automatically generate code, generate getter and setter. We select all the three. So we have our getter setter method generated. So this object can be called as a single object. So all these three group together, and it is called as a registration. So you can use this for group the data. So in this case, first name, so we made them as a single data type. In fact, the same thing what HashMap is going to do. HashMap is a runtime object generation. In this case, the object which I have created, and I'm just mapping them into a single object. You can directly call it to avoid the spacing. So anyway, that's fine. Now we need an array list, because anyway, without array list, the adapter cannot be created. Array list. In this case, array list of registration. So this data going to be added anytime when you have a new data. So registrations add, you have your array list ready. We just need to have a adapter to display them. So let me create a customized adapter. Put it all here then. So let me create a customized adapter. Registration. Any name you can give. This adapter is going to be from a base adapter. The Android gives you a base adapter interface or API which you can extend, modify according to your requirement. A base adapter is a simple instant view holder where the items can be repeated, just a holder. So here we are going to do some sort of modification in order to have our data mapped together. So there are a couple of things missing. Let's see what all that. Implement methods. There are 4 methods has to be implemented. We'll see what is one by one. And get count. How many? What is the size of your array list? For example, get item. Anytime user click on an item, we have to give the instance of an item. Get item ID. If it is database specific, you can return a ID. Otherwise, you can simply return the index itself. And this is where you are going to inflate a new view so that that customized adapter can display something in a recursive way. Better. Okay. A right approach would be having the constructor so that through which you can display. Maybe I would recommend that you create it as a separate class rather than an inner class, so that you can reuse it somewhere. So let me create it as a separate class. So that the code will look more isolated, so you can reuse them. What's going on there? Guys, if you have anything to be discussed, you can discuss anytime. There are some sort of requirement for some of the project members. They would need it. I would recommend keep some sort of discussion in a low mode. Just don't disturb others. You guys didn't even come out of your college life, seems to be. Huh? What's really, I really don't want to have some sort of teaching moral ethics and all the stuff. You guys are professional now. Every time I'm noticing some sort of murmuring discussion going on. Not even a single respect. Somebody is doing research and going to explain something. So I really feel bad on that. Okay. Here the data. There are a couple of things. First thing, which is the data I'm going to use to repeat the view so that the list view can be populated. So in this case, the data type is going to be array list of registration. Sorry. Okay, so these two may be required to be injected through a constructor. I moved it to a separate class so that it can be reused of course if you require. So let me create a setter getter scenario. Alright, because it is coming through a constructor. So let me point it. I hope you get it. This registration is coming through this argument. This is a global one. That's why I'm just, since both are containing the same name, I had to put a this to identify. I'm mapping the values. Okay, now it has become a global one. So registrations, give the size of it. Get item, registration, get position, so that the object can be retrieved, can be used anywhere. And position will return the same because it has nothing to do with the what you call database. So ID is different or position is different. Both are same in this case. So just I'm returning the same. Okay, here. Okay, let us create the view which we are planning to display. So go to layout. Layout. So sorry, list item, whatever name, what you prefer. Relative. I want to have it as a relative layout so that the extreme left and right possible. Okay. So one is text view. So I'm going to make that content, ID being first name. Last name I am not interested to display. So because I have an image view to the right, say we'll give a fixed width 50 dp, small icon. ID image icon. Okay, so we have to make this to align parent left, set to true, and this set to align parent, set to right. So this is the design. So I'm going to make it as a wrap content so that it won't occupy much space. Okay, I hope some placeholder text will keep it to see how it is looking like. Okay, we need to do some sort of text size. We increase it to 20 sp. Center horizontal, vertical center, so that contents are touching. So I'm just going to add some sort of padding, so 15 dp. So first name, to the right there is a small icon, that also I'll keep it as a center vertical center. So this is going to be repeated inside the list view. So of course uh, we are going to map the data accordingly. So the icon, whatever the either camera or picture, I mean local resource, what you pick, and the first name what you enter in the form is going to be displayed. So now we have our layout done. Now we need to inflate the layout inside the list view. So let us override the adapter get view. This is where things are being laid out. Couple of things. First thing, position. Remember, it is a built-in, array iterator. This thing will iterate for each item or what your array list is supplying. So there is a built-in. You just assume this get view is going to be called multiple times. And the view which we are going to convert, which what we are going to create, and this is a parent. Parent naturally being a list view. So because the adapter is going to sit on the list view. So to make that happen, I need to have one object ready. It's called layout inflator. This object helps me to inflate a layout on an existing layout. So I can initialize it because I need a context to initialize. I don't think the context needed. Let's see. Get system service, context needed. Layout inflator service. So this object can be initialized in this way. So this layout inflator, using this layout inflator, you can add one more layout on the top of an existing layout. Okay, let's create it. Now time to inflate them. With all the arguments, I'm not sure. Resource root attached to root something. So in this case, your resource being r dot layout dot list item. View group parent. Let's see. Attached to root, I'm going to keep it false because I don't want to merge the view with the list view, because the list view doesn't have any option to merge within the layout. For example, if it is a linear layout could be merged, so that linear layout is going to have an add view option, so that any runtime dynamic view can be added to an existing linear layout. But list view doesn't have that option, so it has to be set to false. But I'm not even sure, since I'm setting this to false, I'm not sure whether I need to add a parent here, but if any error comes, we'll remove it. Let's see. Now bring back your text view. The first name text. From the converted view, because just has the particular layout inflated, now from there identify your first name ID, and you also have a image view, image view, image icon, name it whatever. From the convert view, find view by ID and that ID dot immediate. Now we can set it according to our requirement, then finally return the converted view so that the view could be retrieved. So the first set text, let us already we have array list set here, registrations, get the index is already available as a position, and get first name. So the first name could be mapped in this way. For image icon to display, we have to do a content resolver stuff. So content resolver, okay, that object is not available. I need to have my context supplied as a global, because the context only having the reference to the content resolver. Hopefully now I can get it. Yeah, available. So content resolver and the URI we have to supply. So first one is the image URI. We have to bring the image URI. Registrations, get position, get image URI from the, sorry, this is an instance. This is a query part I just wrongly written. Just a content resolver is an empty method. Bitmap, we may have to scale down a bit, so I'm just going to copy the code. It's a form activity. Scale down. I'm going to need this method to scale down. Okay, content resolver. Sorry, we need to query using media, images media, get bitmap, supply the content resolver and the URI. Slightly a longer one. Get position, get image URI, and I need to supply the scale down size. I remember I gave a 50 pixel or 50, something like that. I'm going to set this to 2. And I hope something I'm missing over here. The scale down should be content resolver is fine. What exactly going wrong? Oh, exception. I need to handle through an exception. Nothing else. Okay, so now I have a bitmap ready and attach that to set image bitmap. At this point, I have my customized adapter ready. First, I inflate a layout. Remember, your lot of adapters which I explained, simple adapter, array adapter, everything is doing the same work inside. They have the different layout inflation done. They just abstracted, so you do not know how it is working. But when you create your own adapter, you would end up seeing like how it is working in this case. So thereof, first you need to inflate a layout and then identify the widgets or views which is present on that inflated layout. Then attach the values from whatever the array list you supply. So hopefully this is done, and it will be even a better one if you have attach a view holder, because the nature of a list view, Usually when you swipe up, swipe down, I said like it doesn't load entire content based on the view holder size. It loads couple of contents and leave the other contents. Set to load while it is in runtime or while it is swiped up, swiped down. But since we involve a lot of images over here, I haven't added a view holder. But anyway, this is still a good solution. So now we have our customized adapter. Time to attach them. Before that, let me see if my phone is ready and the camera works. Okay, camera is working now. So we have to test this. There's no way without testing it. So in the main activity, let me initialize the list view. Make the list view global. What's the ID I gave? I can give an ID. Just make it as a reg list. Okay. Time to refresh the adapter. Probably this is the right place to refresh because there is no persistent engine. Only when the user adds a content we are going to refresh it. But if you are retrieving from a web service or if you are doing from some sort of database, make sure you do that in on create itself. But anyway, I'll make it as a separate method so that in case in future you can. So reload. So registration adapter. Now it is your own adapter. Requires a context and the data type. Set adapter. So this is a customized adapter has been set. Now only. So in this case, I have a customized adapter which is set, which is inflating a different design and which attaches a text view and the image view. The image view is an image URI which is retrieved from a form activity. In this case, it takes a picture of local resource or camera. Just let me test it, how it goes. Hopefully my camera should work at this point. If not, at least we can test it using a local resource. Okay. Let me install this. So let me add a form entry. Hopefully this time the camera should work. Hoping so. Working. Took an image. Hopefully it scaled. Now I have a front camera image also picked because I'm scaling down it. This is still a large image. I don't see anything like your megapixel. Remember, entire megapixel you are not going to see in anywhere. The megapixel 2, 3 megapixel is quite larger. The megapixel adds some sort of clarity when it is string. So it's not better. So let me save it. Oh, we got it. Now we have a list view and a small icon added on the top. It is because of our customized adapter which picks the data from a previous activity. In on activity result we are capturing those data. So those data, I have a customized object at this point. So I'm just setting those value and populating an array list of this registration object, and this object or this result set is the one which is going to populate all list view items. This registration adapter, it is a customized adapter which is extended from a base adapter. Base adapter gives us a API level interface so that we can add our own customized view so that it can be recursively, repeated inside a list view. For that, we need an instance of a layout inflator object. This object inflate a new layout on the top of an existing layout. Existing layout, your list view, and in this case, a new layout which is called RR list item, which is going to be inflated. So in the get view, I need to make sure I inflate the layout and get all the IDs associated with that layout by having the convert view. That it gives me an object as a convert view because this is a view which I am going to inflate. And once I retrieve those instance, in this case text view and image icon, I map those values from the array list what I am getting through the constructor. And image, nothing but I'm simply keeping the image path so that I need to query them again and display and resize it according to my requirement. Let me add one more item. If I hit back, things will go because I am not saving anything. So let me pick one more image. Just repeat it. So if I see the other item also got added. So in this case, by clicking them, you have a click option also. So on item click listener will still work. Once I click, get all those objects and send it to the previous, next activity, display the option to edit. You can give option to edit as well. So the customized adapter would be of more use if you have a specific data set which is not already, so this is for example, registration object is my customized object. It's not part of Android or anymore. So when I encounter my customized object to be mapped to a list view, it is better to create our own customized adapter by extending a base adapter. So it's pretty straightforward, and you can use this for your project. Whether there are, I remember a couple of projects which require this feature, and this should also work for items which is picked locally. So let me try that as well. Let me pick a local image. If you see this, this is a pretty good example. In this case, the width is higher, the height is smaller. So it still maintained the aspect ratio and brought down the size effectively, so that the quality is still maintained. So let me save it, and I have that image also added as an icon. So we're done with the customized adapter at this point. I'll upload the source code for your reference. I'm going to upload it as a single example because the last example I'm just going to update it, because the last example we just created the option to add a picture using camera and the local file. Now I'll attach this one, so I'll make it as a single project. You may use this for your reference. Okay.